Hello everybody, Chaz Large back with another Fix It video, and on the bench this time we've got a good old Sony tape deck. This is a model TC-K611S, and yes, we've done a few of these before, haven't we? And this one was brought to me by a viewer of the channel, and he saw my previous videos, and he paid me the greatest compliment actually when he came. He said, I watched that video and he said, this man knows what he's doing. So thanks very much. I won't mention you by name just for sake of embarrassment purposes, but I'll say thank you very much for the compliment. We had a nice little chat, and he said that the tape deck was working. It was stored away for a little while. It's in pristine condition, not a mark on it, and I've been careful to make sure that it's been kept that way. But what he says is that you can hear a motor running, but when he presses the eject button, the door doesn't open. Now, as previous viewers of this channel who've watched my previous workings on these types of tape deck will know, that basically the motor is running all the time, and when you press the electronic button to open the close, it's not mechanical. What happens, a lever which engages a gear, that gear then engages the opening mechanism, and that's all driven off the capstan of the motor, so of the tape deck. So if that drive belt has failed, then basically the whole thing is not going to work. So I'm hoping that when we take this apart, that it's basically the drive belt is either just broken or maybe just fallen off because it's stretched. I'm hoping that it's not gone to a gooey mess, because we know what that's like. That's a major strip down. Anyway, let's get inside and have a little look. I'll whiz through this bit. Okay, let's have a little look on the inside of this and see what's going on. Okay, now I can definitely see, let's get the camera in a position where you can actually see what's going on in there. Yeah, I think we're pretty sure in seeing that the drive belt has actually turned to mush. There's one there, but there's one that's yeah, it's just all wrapped around it, the main one. So it looks like we're going to have to do a complete strip down of this, because the drive belt is not where it should be. Yep, so let's get the whole mechanism apart. Let's get that back up there out of the way. And I'm pretty sure, if my memory serves me correct, if we just unplug these plugs, we can take the mechanism out without having to take the front fascia off. I'm pretty sure. It's been a while. It's been a while, so trying to remember which one does what. Now obviously we're not going to be able to take this, let's turn that round there a little bit better. I'm not going to be able to take this mechanism out until we've opened the front door, and so therefore we're going to have to fudge the mechanism to get that to happen. Oh no, sorry, that doesn't yeah, we're okay there. So let's just unplug these plugs. I don't particularly like pulling wires, so if I can get in and lever the plug off with a spudger, it's better than pulling them out. And these, there's several here for the actual heads themselves, held in place by this cable standoff. We must make sure we put that back because lead dressing in head signals is vital. Here we can get hold of the plugs themselves. I'm pretty sure, yeah, they're clipped in, so a little wiggle and they will come out. You definitely don't want to pull the wires off there, but I think we've got one ground wire. Yeah, so now we turn the unit onto its side and we take out the screws here, one here, sorry, I thought I tilted the camera, sorry. So we've got one screw here, there's a little arrow. Oh yes, of course I missed the arrow, there it is. Yeah. So yeah, I knew there was two, I just couldn't remember if it was that one as well. I didn't want to go taking out loads of screws that didn't need to be taken out. Yeah, that mechanism is now well loose. Just gently teasing it past the front assembly. I'm pretty sure, yeah. There we are. We don't have to take out absolutely all the screws, and so the mechanism comes out like so. So now if we have a look underneath there, we can see, yes, the main capstan belt has disappeared. Left a little bit of a residue. Let's get a bit of an old cloth. And yes, there it is. Can you see? The belt has basically wrapped itself around the motor there and gone to a squidgy mess. So we should be able to take that out reasonably easily. The other little drive belt down here I'm not so sure about, but certainly the main motor assembly is here, so we can unplug this. Let's just get my plug pulling pliers. Where are they? There they are. And then we've got 1, 2, 3 screws. That's quite a long screw. And 2 shorter screws. There and there. And then we've got this spring here which is holding the door assembly. That's the release, I'm pretty sure. There. Oh, right, so that's, oh yes, of course the spring is on there. Not there. So it just falls off, doesn't it? That's nice if you tip it sideways. So there's our gunky remains of that belt. Yeah. What a gunky mess. It's just basically turn to goo. Yuckity yuck. Kitchen towel, best for this. Try not to get it on your fingers, try not to touch it, because it just spreads everywhere. So hopefully just getting hold of the majority of it on the towel will get rid of most of it. So far, with the minimum of stuff on there, but little bits of it, like I said, it just spreads. You get this on there, the best way of getting rid of it, isopropyl alcohol. Get rid of it off your fingers before you spread it onto something else that you don't want it on. Right, cotton bud with isopropyl on. Toothbrush. I think we're clean. That's one of the easiest ones I've done. It's when it spreads, it gets stuck to the capstan and the other pulleys, etc., that it makes this kind of job yucky. But yeah, that seems to be clean now. Let's just get that off my fingers. Okay, so that's that one done. Now the little drive belt. Off the second motor. Just get a little just pop that there for a second, just get a little hook. Sort of like a dental pick. I just want to see if that one in there has turned to mush as well. Is there mush in there? Yep. Oh, but it's coming out whole by the look of it. Hey, it's just got caught around the motor. It's not completely gone to mush. Oh, we've been lucky with that one. Really lucky. But the unlucky bit is that we've got to replace that belt. That's the catch, by the way, I forgot that. It's the catches at the top there, look. We've got to replace that belt, and the only way to do that is to remove this top plate here off here as well. But before I do that, I need to make sure that I've got a drive belt kit for it. So what I'm going to do is have a quick check in my kits. If I haven't got one, then I'm going to have to order one. So back after the break. Right, here we are, a couple of days later. I checked my set of belts, and whilst I've got quite a few, couldn't find any that I could remember specifically the size, so I decided to order some. So I ordered a couple of kits, and this is how they arrive, in a nice little envelope, all marked up. So I shall get to replacing the belts. Now we know that the turntable, the capstan belt is going to be fairly easy. It's the main little drive belt down here which is difficult, and also the fact that the cassette door is not open. If we press the little lever, we've got a latch on the side. Remember I showed this a little bit earlier. The latch on the side there, basically it catches on this pin here. If you press that lever, it starts to open, but it doesn't open fully, and if you pull it, you're going to break something. And the reason it hasn't opened is because the mechanism needs to be driven to release that gear. The way to do it is to put the cassette face down and put your finger in here where this gear wheel is here, and roll it so that the wheel is turning anti-clockwise. It goes a bit stiff, and obviously don't put pressure down because you'll hold the cassette door shut, but just push it forwards, and you'll get to a certain point where it thinks it's not going to go, and then all of a sudden it will go. Keep pushing, and eventually you can then turn it around this way, and you'll see that the catch opens and the door will come wide. And you need to have the door open because you need to get this at this drive belt in here. You need to get an idler which is sitting under this plate here released. So before you do that, just to make sure that you're keeping the customer's property in good condition without marks, and you see I've got a little few finger marks on here, you need to take this door off of here, and the way to do that is to just gently hold it like at the bottom, and then with your thumb on the top just push it up so that the door comes off, and then keep that somewhere safe. That's the nice clean part. You're not too worried about this other than damaging the inside, but at least you're not going to scratch the outside of it. Then you need to take this plate off, and you do that with the two screws that's holding it on. Basically this plate is the back plate for the cassette mechanism, but it's also that little yellow part in the middle, there is an illuminator, a little EL display, and that's plugged in to this connector here. So take that connector off as well, like so. Just pull it down, unhook it, then you can take out that backlight there. It's just a little EL display, maybe, yeah, like an LED but in a flat plate. Okay, and then we've got this idler here. Okay, so then again, a fine flat blade screwdriver should do the job. Put your finger on the edge of the lock washer, put the screwdriver on the other edge and just push it up, and you should be able to take it off. Oh, I thought I'd taken it off and it was stuck to my finger. It wasn't. So just gently lever it up like so. There we go. Keep that on your finger and then keep that somewhere safe. Put it in your little pot. Let's put it there. And then gently lift this idler off of this post here. Don't force it, just gently lift it off like so. Then that allows this gear to drop back through the metalwork underside, so you can actually turn it upside down, close it here, and then you've got to remove this plate. And to do that, we've got 3 screws, one here, sorry, 4 screws there and there. So again, a little fillet screwdriver to get these out. There's one long one there, one long one that's got the earth tag on it as well, another long one through here, this final one here, and they're all the same length, so you don't need to worry about messing them up. You also will need to take out the capstan, and the capstan's held in place by the little plastic washer that's sitting on this end of the capstan. So gently, if you pull the capstan just gently, you'll see that washer will come away. Get hold of it with your fingers as you pull it out so you don't lose it, like so. Put that somewhere safe. Take the capstan out, and then you'll find that you're probably going to get gunk from that belt somewhere or other, so keep a nice piece of cloth handy to wipe it off as you go. You've probably seen this in my other video. A little bit of ISO on a bit of kitchen roll soon gets rid of it. So just keep your eyes out for any bits of stuff that's got that stuff, the rubber on that anywhere. Now just when you've released that, just gently lift up this plate. Okay, and there's the plate. Now there is a tendency for this lever here to fall off as you're taking it out, but it just basically sits on this post here like a little seesaw bit. It sits on there, but it's got lubricant on it, and this is sprung loaded on here, so it's best to sort of try and keep that all together if you can. Keep it that way down, and then you're not going to lose anything. Alright, and you notice that the main cam gear here is in this position. Yeah, that's the way you need to put it back, together with the mode switch, which is here. There's a an arrow and a slash pointing at it like that, so you need to keep those aligned as well. If you knock that round and go and reassemble it, the deck's going to be in totally the wrong position and the microprocessor won't know where it's going. Theoretically, this shouldn't come loose. It's held in place by force fit, but you may need to, if necessary, clean it. But I've already cleaned this motor cog here, but underneath, if you look carefully, you can actually see there's a remnant of the rubber in there. So using a fine pick or whatever it is, you can get under there, get that extra little bit of rubber out of there, otherwise it will clog up the bearing. Now you could take the pulley off of the motor and clean it, but generally speaking, if you've got like some sort of hook or pick or something like that, you should be able to get all the bits and pieces out together with that pair of tweezers. If it's not in too bad a condition, as you can see this one's come apart already, it's not completely dissolved, and if you're lucky like I am here today, you managed to get it all out in one go. So that's absolutely excellent the way it's come out. So that all looks nice and clean inside there. Yeah, doesn't seem to be any problems with that. So that's there. So let's just double check. Keep my finger on that lever. Double check that one there is okay. Has that popped up? I think that may have popped up out of there. I'm sure it was in that slot. Yeah, I think. Was it? No, the whole lot pushes down. This pushes down, that's it. So you just need to be careful. Yeah, you see that's not in that slot, but that's because it's been pushed up by this cam gear here, which is on a spring. So when you put it back together, you need to make sure that little lever there sits in that main cam slot like that. So it's a little bit difficult putting it back together, but you push it all back down together like that, it will stay together. So having done that, you should now be able to get your new drive belt in a position ready to go in place. And let's open this pack up and see what, make sure we've got the right one. So it is a Deck Tech replacement belts, Sony K611S. So it's definitely the right, and that's from Tree. I think I mentioned another company, but it's Tree. That's the company I got it for, or dtbelts.com. That's where you can get your belts from. And these are only nearly a tenner in cost. It depends on where you are, the price that you pay for it, and so on. But they are very, very good. They send them out first class post, so you get them within a day or two. So I ordered these on Sunday, and today's Wednesday. They arrived yesterday, didn't have a chance to do it. So they come in a nice little bag, so you should be able to get your small drive belt over the top of this gear. So lift up this plate, pop that belt over there and drop it back down, because you're going to have to put this all back together first before you can get the belts in place. So make sure that you've got these bits in the right place. Drop the whole mechanism top back into it like so, okay, and get some screws in place. Oops, why is that? No, I've obviously not got it right because the screws are not going down far enough. What haven't I done? Oh, yeah, that seems right. That seems right. Yeah. What am I doing? The screw doesn't go in there, does it? when you're working on it from a different angle, screws don't always go back where you think they should go. And the screw actually goes down through there, doesn't it? Not that hole. Okay, so now we've got the screw, the plate back in place. Just before we put the belt on, obviously make sure we haven't got any gunk, but we can just double check that this gear is working in the right place. We've made sure that that's correct and so on, so we can wind this gear back and it should re-engage and holds the door. So when we wind it forward again, the door opens. There we go. That pulls the door up like so, and then you can also turn the main cam gear if you want before you put the belt on, just to make sure that that all engages. That's okay. You're going to have to open it again to put that pulley back, but let's get the drive belt on. This is the tricky bit because you've got the drive belt in place, but you need to get it over the motor pulley, and the easiest way of doing that is using a pick or some kind, and I may have to move this in a position where it's not easy to see on the camera, so apologies for that. But basically I use my little pick and I hold it with that and a screwdriver at the same time. This is where you need like 3 hands, and I've got another pick which I may use, which has actually got a full hook on it as opposed to a bent. But hold that in place, get your finger on there so it's on the pulley, and then you should be able to just hook it around the motor pulley. Sorry if you can't see this very well. Let's bring it down there so you can see it a little bit better. At the moment I'm just having a difficulty getting it past the pin of the motor. There we are. So then let it roll around. We've got it on the pulley, it's difficult to disengage the hook. Oh, there we are. Just make sure it stays in place. For some reason it's not. I can't quite see why it's not going all the way down. Get my specs on just so I can see. I've probably got it caught on something. Yeah. Yeah, there's a bit of the plastic, so yeah, it's been a little bit early tightening these screws up. So just release them just slightly. And it should give you a little bit of flexibility to just pull the motor back just fractionally, because there's a little piece of the plastic moulding from this side that's just stopping the belt from going properly over the pulley. And there it is, it's there now. There we are. Just twisted slightly. There we go. There we are, so that's better. So apologies for that, but yeah, a little lesson learned. Obviously when you put these screws back in, just screw them in so they just start to catch and hold, because you need that little bit of flexibility to get the belt in the right place. Okay, now you need to wind the mechanism forward again to get the door open. Then you can refit the pulley. As with a lot of these, they've got molly slip grease on these bearings, and they are just good. They're okay. You don't need to clean all those off and put new bearings on. They will carry on with that molly slip grease ad infinitum. It's only if they're dried you need to clean them and put the fresh ones back. So there's that back in place. Then we can put this plate back in, and that hooks down here onto bits of the plastic down below. So it just pops into, there's two little holes here and here for location, two little pins down here. So that hooks in there. And then we get those two screws back in place. And then close it up, wind the mechanism back the other way, clockwise this time, and that door should be held. And get the little wire to come round. That's it. And then that plugs into there. That's a little illuminator. Okay. And now you can pop the capstan back in, but just run your finger up it. If it feels nice and smooth, it's probably okay, but you can just give it a clean off. And I always apply just a little tiny dash of molly slip grease on there. You don't need much, if any at all. In fact, I take it off the lid of this thing there. That shows you how little we need, and just apply it down the bottom of the bearing like that. Don't put it at the top because it will stick on there, and then just pop it back in there, spin it round, and it should be nice. And then you can put the when you crank the mechanism round again just for testing, you can put the little plastic clip back on a bit later. So now we can put the main drive belt on. Obviously do check that there is, if you haven't already cleaned the capstan itself, check, and it's a good job we are, because there's a little bit of that black stuff still on there, the rubber. So just give the old capstan flywheel a good clean down. Obviously if you're repairing one that you've had to clean all the gunk off, this will be done anyway. pop the drive belt on, get hold of the top plate, hook the belt round the motor, put your finger on the capstan, pull it across and drop it in place, and it should just sit quite happily in place like so. And then you get your screws, and the long one which goes through there, that's the screw I tried to put in the wrong place earlier. So you should turn it backwards till it catches. And then the two black ones. Now obviously, having done that, getting at that gear up there to turn it to release the door is a little bit difficult, but you can just get your finger in there enough to do it. Okay, if you can't, if you really have got weak fingers or whatever, you can use a screwdriver, but I really wouldn't recommend it. I'm using the nail of my little finger to turn that gear, and you should be able to see it then comes and releases the door. You might not be able to get it back the other way, but at least at this point, a then quick clean of the capstan just to make sure you haven't inadvertently got anything on there, and pop that washer back in place. Right. Do it this way around, it might be easier. Push it back down. And then obviously they need to clean the heads. So again, Q-tip, whatever, cotton bud, clean the heads, isopropyl alcohol, give it a good clean with one end, and the guides in between. Yeah, not too bad. Just dry it off with the other end. Now the actual pinch roller itself doesn't look too bad, but I'm just going to run over it with some isopropyl alcohol. If it's too bad, it usually, when you clean it, you get a lot of brown from the oxide from tapes, but if it's all black like this, it's probably okay. It's just a little bit of rubber dirt, but it should clean up nicely. I think that's going to be okay. And just clean it up with the other end. There we go, I think that's okay. So, we seem to have been successful in that. Let me just see if I can, with my little finger, roll that gear back up. Yeah. Oh, a bigger finger, I can get it in there actually. Yeah. I haven't got enough pressure to turn it fully round. Ah, there we go. That's closed. So I'm pretty sure we are set. Thank you very much to Monetary Products from DT Belts. let's pop it back together. Okay, so reassembly is fairly simple. Get the bits and pieces. Oh, forgot to put the little cable tie under that screw. See, things do get forgotten. We're all human. Excuse me. Cables going under those cables. Oh, forgot that one as well. Oh, I'm getting really bad. That one goes in there, doesn't it? Of course it does. Does it go in there? Yeah, goes into there. Luckily, it's not going to do any harm to release it and put it back. Right, heads connect back up. The red is the red, the white is the white, and the wires are held in place by this little wire holder there. And then we get the drive deck switches connected, and the motor, and the erase head cable. Where's that gone? There it is. There we go. These are test points, etc. So we are slightly pulled out. Just check all the other plugs to make sure they're not all inadvertently been pulled out. Looks back into the right condition. Let's fire it up and see what it does. Power on. Open. Yay! I think we're pretty safe. So that's going to work. There we go. Yeah. Fast forward is working. Rewind is working. Play is working. Open is working. I think we're okay. Just need to do a quick check of wow and flutter. So this is a 1 kHz test tone. 3 kilohertz. I would say that's pretty good. What I can do is just put it back on the 3 kilohertz tone and put it on the scope so we can see on the scope how good it is. Okay, so I've got the scope now connected, as you can see on the screen, and if we hit play we can see that we've got a good frequency of 2.89, so it's running a little bit on the slow side. That should be 3 kilohertz. Let me just turn the amplifier down a minute. So it's running a little bit on the slow side. Now we could adjust the motor on here for the correct speed. Bias left and right. Pretty sure that the motor speed is actually controlled by the little interpot on the little hole on the back of the motor. Let's poke in there and have a little feel. Yeah. So that's now reading 3 kilohertz, but there's no wow. Wow would show up as a fluctuation in the frequency of it going in and out, but you can see on the center of the scope it's sitting there quite stable. Amplitude is fluctuating a little bit. That's probably halfway down to the tape that I've used. It's a generic test tone tape. So this is one that I made on a reasonably good recorder with a solid digital test tone going into it. So as far as I'm concerned, this is good. This is as good as it's going to get for a machine of this age. There's really no more we can do with this. It's actually it's working as good as it can be. So I'm pretty happy with that. I think if we just take the tape out and try the 1 kilohertz, we should see 1 kilohertz on the other side. And there we are, 999 most of the time. 1 kilohertz, yeah. It's going to fluctuate just a little bit, but it's as close to perfect speed as I can get it for a machine of this age. I'm pretty happy with that. Hopefully the customer will be happy with that too. Right, so the only other thing to test now is the recording and make sure it actually does a good recording and plays it back. So let's put a blank tape in here. Right, now I've got a bit of a test signal going in there, a bit of YouTube music going in here, so let's see what happens. I've got this into record, pause and press play. So the record level was at maximum. I've not got line level going in there, but we can see that it's recording okay on both. I've got no filters turned on. I'm not going to worry about that. Balance. Right. I can only hear output from the left channel. Now that's either that socket is dirty. Yeah. Just a dirty socket, just a bad connection. Although actually, no, thinking about it, yeah, I think the print on the underside of the circuit board where the connectors are back here. Yeah, that's definitely going in and off. So I think I've got to take this board out and resolder those connectors. So when I press record pause, it put it into record pause, but I didn't press play to start the actual recording process. Just wiggle that enough to make it a connection for now. It's only on the output stage. It's just enough. There's 30 seconds worth. Okay. So that's enough of that. So let's rewind it. Sounds good to me. Well, I'm pretty sure that's recording, apart from those dodgy connections. So let's get the circuit board out and have a look at those connections. Yeah, we can see that pretty much all these joints here are dry. It's a case of soldering those up. Make them a good solid connection, because plugs and sockets are going to be put in and out of here, I would guess, if this is going to be used on and off. Okie dokie. Powered on and play. Can't remember what's on the other side of this one, but maybe a better recording. Yep, sounds good. Put the test ends back in, make sure nothing's changed. Nice, stable, 1 kHz tone. Lovely jubbly. I think we are done. So, all I've got to do now is pop the lid back on, just give it a clean up, give the customer a contact, and let him know it's all ready for him. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. See you on the next video. Bye for now.